Good morning, everyone. And first of all, very good morning to Samy. Today we have an amazing guest. Um, I've had a chance to speak with Samy over the last few weeks, and what I've learned, it's been honestly amazing. And I'm still thinking about it, and I'm quite sure that what he's going to share today, it's going to be equally amazing for you all. Um, Samy,
Good
to
morning.
good morning, and to start. What should we know about you that will determine we make out of the podcast today?
My life has been kind of reversed. I feel like I've started my early life in working, and now I'm living kind of like it's been feeling like my teenage years that I've been living for the past 4 or 5 years. So that's kind of like one way I can describe my life so far.
And how is so?
I don't know, it's been 10 years now. I've been living in Spain. I moved to Spain for tennis, and since my earliest memories, I've just been, focusing on one goal, which was tennis, and all my life has been dedicated towards achieving that goal. So this is what I mean by my whole life has been work, and
Right.
then the rest has been kind of like trying to live back those years in a different way.
Yes, tell us a bit more about that. As in, your life has been tennis. How did you get started, and what has been your journey, your evolution into that? Because listening to it, it might sound very straightforward. You play tennis, and then
Right.
you do something else right now. But give us a bit more of the meat. As in, what happened? What's the story behind it?
Right. Um, so I started playing tennis in when I was growing up in Cairo. I think I started, my brother and I started playing like maybe 30 minutes each on the weekends. And then we started like growing from there. I wouldn't have had tennis if it wasn't for my brother, because he really helped me get to the level I needed to be to prove myself, to be able to have that life. And so we started playing at the age of, I would say 6. I was 6, he was 9. And by the age of 8, I showed a lot of potential, especially in Egypt. And
Mhm.
I became what you call a prospect. And from there, um, my parents and I had a very serious talk. And like, do they asked me, do you want to continue in this? Like, are you willing to work for this life? They made it very clear how hard it was going to be and how different and all the sacrifices that were going to um, be needed. And but I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready for it. I think I can do it. At the age of 12, we took the decision, like I needed to get out of Egypt. I needed to explore Europe a little bit. So we decided to come visit Spain. Um, I think I spent more or less a year going to different cities, looking for a proper academy where I could be based. And I finally found one in Valencia, which was called Tennis Val at the time. It's now called Lozano Altour Tennis Academy, or LATA. And I remember at the age of 13 is when I really started to base myself in Spain. I had completely moved out of Egypt at that time. And I started living with different families around Valencia because my parents were still back home. And that's when I really started taking my level of tennis to the
The next
next
level.
step. Yeah, right, because I was going to start touring the ITF circuit, which is the International Juniors League. Um, and that's how I really slowly got into the competitive, at least the internationally competitive tennis.
And so what age were you at that point? Was it 15, 16, you said?
Yeah, 15, 16, I would say. 15, 16. Then I started, I got my first professional tournament. I got accepted to play my first professional tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And which is when I was at my peak level. I continued playing a few professional tournaments by the age of 16. And at 17, I got my first points. I won my first main draw matches where you get points. And that was more or less, yeah, I would say 17, 16.
Then what happened?
I was getting ready for the summer tour. And in preseason, I was training very intensively. And one practice match I was playing in Valencia. It was the end of the day. I remember it was very hot. I was exhausted, but I was still pushing through. And one bad movement, and my ankle went like doubled in size. And by the time I was aware of what happened, I think I had, yeah, stepped over about, I don't think it was a tennis ball or something. I think I'd stepped over something, and my ankle completely went the other way. And that was when I had to stop for 8 months and recover. I would say it took me overall about 10 to 11 months to fully recover from that. Physically, mentally, it took me a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I think so. You were at your peak at that point, right? Can you?
Yeah. Right. And during that preseason, I would say, at my best level.
What were you in, like, what? Because you mentioned to me once that you were at a very, very high level when it comes to ranking in the world for your age.
For my age, I was in the 900s at that time. The ATP ranking, I don't remember exactly on my ranking, but I remember the goal for that year was to maybe break the 700s, but unfortunately, things don't always go according to plan. And I remember I think I was one of the youngest, at least my age, to be at that ranking.
And so, what was your first thought? As in, you're there training, you get injured.
I remember, first of all, I fell, and I was a bit like, I was just laying there because I was tired. I didn't really grasp what happened.
Yeah.
But I remember my coach, he ran towards me. He took my shoe off, and I didn't look at my ankle. I looked at his face, and that's when I realized something was, I saw it in his face that this is gonna take some time to get back. And that's when I started feeling the pain as well. I had to be carried out. No, I was like, this isn't happening. That was my first thought. No way this can be happening right now. But it was okay. It was okay. I managed to cope with it. I had a really good team. I had a really good surrounding, and everything turned out okay.
And walk us through a bit the thinking process at the time, because this has been it was like a very tough moment in your life, probably one of the first tough moment in your career as well. And at that time, you felt, I guess you were feeling probably a bit stuck. Like, what I do next? What's happening now? Like, can you tell us how did that moment impact you?
Well, first of all, I always thought I was in very good hands. I had a really good physiotherapist. I had a really good fitness coach, and they have been in the game for a very long time. So I knew they knew what the process of these things was. I had no idea. This was my first serious injury. I was like, I'm all yours, team. Like, let's get back as soon as we can. So I was very scared. I was very worried that I would never be the same again. But I was always confident that like I have a good team. Like I trust them. Like I trust they know what they're doing as well and the decisions they're going to take. I remember they decided not to do a surgery. We went the sports medicine way, which took longer, but I feel like I came out stronger than rather if I did a surgery. So little decisions like that, I always trusted them with it. I knew what they were doing, and so that was like more or less what I remember. a lot of painkillers during that time.
And then you also said it wasn't just difficult from a physical standpoint, but also psychologically.
Yeah, but I would say that was later on after I recovered, when I was trying to get back to the level I was. Like I said, like I think it did leave a scar, and like this mental block I had. I remember until today, sometimes going down the stairs, I'm very worried for my ankle. So, like it's still there. It still affects me to this day. But I remember when I was trying to get back, I just couldn't improve. I couldn't get better than how it was before. And I gave it time. I was very patient with it, but mentally and physically, I didn't believe I was going to be better than I was before the injury, before the fall. So yeah, that was very hard, and that was the start of the descent for me.
What has, let's say, fundamentally changed about, your ambition and, your idea about having a sport career from that moment? So obviously, was that the fear that you wouldn't succeed to the level you wanted, or like what has changed at that point? You're talking about this mental state that you were in.
Yeah. Well, I would say, yeah, I gave it a year. I gave it some time I still believed at the beginning of the recovery, and I just remember it was a very bad year, all in all. My grandfather had passed away recently after, and he was the one who introduced me to the sport, my brother and I, and he introduced me to who Roger Federer was, who was my idol, and so it was a very hard hit that didn't help my mental state either. So I remember I was in Mallorca in January of 2018. I was there for 2 weeks at the Rafa Nadal Academy to play future tournaments. I was trying to recover a few points to get my ranking back up to play other tournaments throughout the year. And midweek, that's when I got the call from my mom that my grandfather had passed away. And the next day I had a match. I could not play that match. I lost very badly, but I couldn't think about anything else. So I had to travel back to Lebanon, where the funeral was held, and then come back. And I think that was the point where I was like, okay, I don't think I can continue this anymore. This was like not a sign, but like this made me change the way I saw my future. And not long after that, my team and we had a meeting with my family, and we did decide that I couldn't continue anymore. They took the decision for me, actually, because I couldn't come and say, hey, I can't do this anymore. Like this, I can't continue. I didn't have it in me to say it, but they all knew me so well, so they saw it and they took the decision. which at the time it was like a lot of weight off your shoulders. It felt like a relief. And yeah, that's when the new chapter began and my life completely changed.
And why did you feel like a relief, a big relief? What was it about it that you felt? Thank you that this happened.
Yeah, because at some point it felt like I was under so much pressure from myself. It felt like I was suffocating myself, or no, I can't leave this after all I've worked for since I was a kid. And having other people see it and like help me take that decision was the relief. That like everybody was on the same page, everybody was on board, you know. Also my biggest fear, I never wanted to disappoint anyone, especially myself, of course. But yeah, so that was the relief that, like, you know, everything's gonna be okay after all.
And so the new chapter starts.
The new chapter starts.
And how do you? So here you are. You spend what several years, right, in your tennis career. You get this setback. You recover physically, but still not, you know, feel your best, and then the unthinkable happen, and you go, okay. Then what do you do next? I mean, what do you do? What do you think?
Yeah, I remember I sat down with my dad and I was like, so plan B. Didn't really think of a plan B earlier, did we? It wasn't that complicated, honestly. We just went, you know, the how do you call it? The normal way. We looked at universities. I had one thing that was very important to my parents. An education was a must. I did not leave school. I did online schooling during high school and got my diploma. So just carried on with an education. Visited Segovia, where I went to IE University. I actually went to visit the campus 2 days after took the decision to no longer continue tennis. And I was very lucky to be accepted in my first choice of university. So it was a very smooth, very quick transition. It happened really, really fast in the span of, I would say, 2 weeks. And yeah, didn't really have time to, you know, cope with what was happening. I was like, new life, let's do it.
And this is very interesting because many people, you know, which might be listening, you know, they could feel, you know, they are in a similar situation in their life, right? So where they maybe had started a journey that didn't go as planned, and now they need to reinvent themselves. So they need to pivot their life. And what for most people is normally considered the expected path, you know, going to university and, you know, getting an education. Like for you, it was a bit the unexpected path, right? It was the
it was the plan B,
as
right.
as you defined it. Yeah. So looking back, what is the maybe things that you would have done differently, or the things that could have helped you, you know, as a young you in that situation? Now looking back from where you are now.
I would have taken more time to get to know what I would want to do. I would take my time, learn, like experiment with things, maybe hobbies. Take time to really get to know, like, yourself other than that life you had, like for me, which was tennis. I had music. I was a big fan of films. So those were interests I had that I wish I would had waited a little longer, explored those, and see if I could have taken maybe a path um, in that field. I do believe like I rushed it. I rushed my way to university, but looking back at it now, 5 years later, I'm really happy with that decision. So I don't really regret it. And I don't think I would have regretted if I waited a little longer either. So I would just say, you know, it will be okay. Any decision you take, as long as you really put a lot of effort in whatever you do, everything will be fine. And there's always time to go back and learn new things. So
I think all of us have been either stuck in one point, or also we may have rushed into decisions. And so I think the point that you made, which is, maybe taking a bit more time to explore.
Exactly.
Did you, thinking about that, you were making this transition, was it difficult to not identify yourself as the tennis player? Did you feel like your identity was tied to tennis?
Yeah, for sure. I remember when I arrived to university, of course, that phase when you get to know everybody, yeah, everybody by the end knew me as the tennis player, which was cool. I mean, I was very proud of that identity. I still am. I was very proud. I was very proud to have that life. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things that I don't think most 12-year-olds get to learn, get to travel by themselves. And so I have no regrets on having had that life, and no regrets on having moved on from that life.
What would you say, since you mentioned it, what would you say would be like the 3 things you carry with you from Samy when was playing at high level and traveling the world? The top 3 things.
Ooh. I would say I could definitely discipline me. I do follow more of kind of like basic habits like I've had from that, like, taking care of my body, like getting exercise, of course, like staying healthy as much as I can. And I do believe I did learn a lot about cultures, and I did meet a lot of international people. So that really helped me. It was easier for me to talk to people and get to know new people. That's pretty much it. I don't really know.
I think it would be, if I had to think back to some of the things I've done in the past, they're buried in the past.
Yeah.
So we talk about your past. We talk about your transition. So where are you today? What are you after? Like it's you went from traveling the world, playing tennis, injury, recovering, and then being projected into a new path. And what are you after?
Right. I'm still figuring it out, basically. But right now I am about to graduate in Madrid, which I'm very looking forward to it. It's been 5 years. I am studying communications. I remember, so when I started university, I did 1 year of business, which I quickly realized it wasn't for me, and tried to go more to the production field, which I decided to go for communications. And yeah, here we are, about to graduate, working on my thesis, looking for a job. And I guess pretty much, yeah, any soon-to-be graduate position.
What's your focus today in terms of field? You said comms, but can it be a bit more specific?
Sonic branding, which is a field that I'm very interested in.
What is sonic branding?
It's branding yourself. Well, it's basically, the goal is to achieve recognizability with your eyes closed. That is the ultimate goal of sonic branding. So if I tell you McDonald's, can you hear it?
Right.
You can hear their tune, right? So it's basically achieving that, but across all brand touch points everywhere. It becomes part of your DNA. It becomes part of your guidelines with, of course, your visual branding. Because like people tend to think branding now, it's more visual, and they will play a catchy song, but it's not just about that. And that catchy song will be good for that specific campaign, maybe, but it's not. It won't be. It won't help customers recognize you as a brand. Like it won't. It won't help you in the long run. So it's basically achieving, like sound recognizability everywhere as a brand. It is a field that I found, I don't know how, and it's very underrated. It's not talked about yet. It's not talked about enough yet, and it is something I do see myself pursuing. And hopefully, there's no injury to stop me.
Fingers crossed. So you said you discovered this in December. Was it while you were trying to find topics for your thesis, or?
Exactly. I was completely lost, completely confused. I didn't want to do the basic thing for my thesis. I didn't want to just talk about branding like that. I wanted to focus something, like have something, a deeper meaning to it. And that's when I found sound branding. And yeah, I enjoy playing music as well. So it's been really fun trying to make catchy tunes. I've been learning a lot. And yeah, I was very lucky to have found that. And yeah,
And Samy, I'm curious here, because you set this new goal for your life, based on this passion and what you like doing now. And are there any resources or any key people that help you to get like where you are now, and this new path?
Of course. Well, I have my teachers at university. My professors have been amazing in kind of like showing me the right way, and like how or at least after graduation, how to go from there. They weren't really aware of that field either, so it's new and exciting for everyone, and everyone's really in it with me, and constantly asking, how are you doing with your thesis, which is a question I try to avoid all the time.
I was going to ask you, so
How's it going? My thesis? It's going. It's a bit slow, but it's going. I'm enjoying more the music part rather than the writing part. Let's leave it at that. And yeah, so my professors have been honestly wonderful with that. They've introduced me to many people. They always send me events happening where I could network with people and meet new people that could potentially help me in the long run. My parents, of course, they've been amazing. this whole time. They've been supporting me all my life, and I do feel like I need to get going and kind of like give back. So yeah, my brother also is he's been helping me a lot in this the new phase of my life. He's a film producer, a filmmaker in Paris. So we do have a lot of interests, and hopefully one day work together. And yeah, honestly, it's been a smooth ride. I can't really complain.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, at this point, well, first of all, good luck for your next steps and your upcoming career. It sounds really,
thank you.
Amazing. Like, for sure, you had a crazy journey. What surprised me, in your story and what you said is, that you got to try things. Sometimes you don't know, what is the right path, and probably you wouldn't take, that direction. But then after a bit of time looking back, you're happy that you've taken that direction anyhow. Okay, whether it was positive or negative, you learn something from it. You grow as a person, and that's really something that is important. Yeah. So maybe at this point, I just want to close with a reflection, from your side. What is your final thought that you want to leave to our listeners now, like on your story? If, again, there's someone listening which is stuck, that is willing to maybe change their life at this point, or turning their career, like, what would be your advice, your final thought?
I would say, well, for me, what saved me basically was I surrounded myself with the right people. And I do believe this is like very important for anyone in that position. Surround yourself with the right people, people who know you, people who know what's best for you. Even sometimes when you're blind to see, they will guide you. They will know you well enough to help. Yeah, I would say that's what really, 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 really helped me get through every single point, every single low point of my life so far was the people around me.
Yeah, and there is a say, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with.
Yeah, show me who your friends are, and I'll know you. Yeah,
I thought it was also the enemies.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's very hard to go through these things alone, and I do know a lot of people do feel lonely, and I have felt lonely many times, but there's always people who care enough about you to help, and the goal is to find the right ones.
Fantastic. I mean, I would probably keep going for another half an hour, because there is so much to unpack. I think for me, I would probably leave it at this. It's been, honestly, it's been quite a journey for us as well, like learning your past, your journey, your present, and all the challenges you got to solve. So, Samy, thank you very much for the time today. It's been
Thank you,
it's
guys.
been really amazing,
Thank you.
and we very
Lovely.
look
Thank
forward
you.
to inviting you.
Yes, in the future. That would be great. Thank you so much for having me. And it was lovely to meet you. And hopefully we talk soon.
Fantastic. Speak soon. Thank you.